Hi, I'm Edwin Samuelson, and welcome to the Cinefiles, your weekly film fix. Today, we're going to be continuing our discussion from last week, which
Part two.
Which is called Evil Knocking at Your Door, aka Haunted Houses. It was a great show, so we decided to continue it, and we're going to continue it today. We left off with the I guess you could say, the best haunted house movie, which is The Shining. To our next film, which is one, oh gosh, our guest host here today is freaking out over it already. And the film is Paul W.S. I'm saying it again, Paul W.S. Anderson's Event Horizon. It was his follow-up to Mortal Kombat, and it's this time instead of a haunted house, it's an actual haunted spaceship. It stars
Haunted House in Space. That was the pitch.
And it's a good pitch. It stars Lawrence Fishburne and
Great
Sam Neill.
pitch.
And Kathleen Quinlan as scientists who go into space to find a spaceship that has mysteriously disappeared. The ship is called the Event Horizon. Now, let's start off with you, Mike, because I know you and Eric have a very interesting history on this film.
Concept is great. A haunted house in space. And the set design was amazing. And I guess what happened is through the space travel and these scientists experimenting in trans-dimensional technology, they opened up some sort of alternate dimension that brought in, I would say hell, but more, that's what's really ambiguous about it. It brought in this, the dimension of torture or whatever, where all of a sudden people went insane and let their evil sides take over and become these supreme masochists and torturers and stuff. But what was great is you had this missing satellite floating out in space. Then you had it off, I think, off Jupiter. So you had all these cosmic storms that were happening. So that was a good excuse to bring in the idea of having the stormy night and the lightning and everything, and then set up the atmosphere with this planet of storms and your satellite right there with the rescue ship.
To make it short, basically...
Yeah, let's say you're going on a bit.
Let's go on here. Basically, and I'm going to use the word basically, they open up a rift in time by trying to go from light speed, and it's an alternate reality, an alternate universe where I guess you could say hellish creatures rule or whatever.
But there's no creatures, though.
Well, not creatures. It's just like an evil entity, right? Would you say?
I don't even know about that. It's like the people become possessed by their evil sides.
And it's a very interesting film because I love the set design, like you're talking about. Even
if you hate it, you guys got to admit that the set design is amazing.
They based it on old Gothic church cathedrals and stuff, and it really shows. I think it's a very creepy film. I agree there is some scenes in there that just make you go like this, of course, the black guy in space goes, "Oh, come on, motherfucker," or whatever. You know, it seemed it should be in a different movie completely. But the film has some very creepy scenes. And it's a very atmospheric film. Now, Eric, what is your problem with this film? Because
I think it's a dumb movie trying to be more intelligent than it thinks it is. I mean, for one thing, yes, it's a good idea, but it's a bit of, somebody saw Solaris and said, well, I'm going to turn Solaris into an action
I always hate that comment.
Okay. That's basically what it is.
The original Solaris sucks.
Solaris is like
the original Solaris sucks.
And the remake sucks, too.
Are you done? Are you done?
Can you finish his
You use that Solaris argument all that.
But that's what it is. Whether it sucks or not, that's what it is. Because you got all these guys that are like revere Solaris in 2001, and someone thought, well, let's take Solaris but turn it into a horror film, and let's really dumb it down. And there wasn't.
But is it dumbed down or is it just so ambiguous?
I didn't think it was ambiguous at all. I thought it was okay to open up this dimension and it unleashes this fury, whatever it is, and the alternate versions of these people suddenly becomes Hellraiser, and then you had like...
And the problem is...
That's just it. That's all that happens. People become evil, and there's a lot of like torture sequences and hellish vision, and you had,
hellish vision's good.
That's just basically it. That's all there is to the film.
There's some great scenes in there, though. What about the scene where... Okay, how about this?
There are great scenes because it looked good, because they had the budget to make it look good, but it doesn't mean that it...
All right, how about this scene? How about this scene? I know this is a scene that Mike's going to agree with me on. There's a scene where Sam Neill goes into the ship's computer to replace a chip, and everything goes black, and then it goes to light, and he sees his dead wife.
Who
and
suicide.
that is one of the creepiest scenes.
Solaris.
But it's well done in this one.
Yeah.
The scientist sees her son running through the spaceship. Solaris, It's like this guy made said,
Catholic
I'm going to hope that
tendencies
nobody's
are
seen
sunrise.
Solaris when I make this film. I'm just going to make it slightly
Don't see
different.
Solaris, please.
Please don't see
I'm not
Solaris.
saying you should see Solaris. I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying it's like someone made this film and said, okay, I saw Solaris. There's some really good ideas. I'm going to hope that no one's seen Solaris and put it in this film and introduce a horror element.
All right, what about Hellraiser?
It won't be anywhere near as an attempt to be intelligent or thoughtful.
But you're also comparing it to Hellraiser. Now, those are two different films completely.
We'll throw Hellraiser in there too, the whole Pinhead thing, and that's basically Sam Neill.
All right, Jeff. Come on, chime in. You guys are on the same
You're
team.
not a Paul W.S. Anderson fan, are you?
Well,
No.
that has nothing to do with how I viewed the film. This was before all the other crap he made. This was just like another feather in that hat. I guess considering the cast you have for this film, it should have been a lot better than what it was. And the material they're given isn't all that great. I agree with him. It's just a bunch of scenes of like hellish visions, and you make it sound like a lot more smarter than it is with your long diatribe about, oh, this is why this is this way, this is why this is this way. And it's like, no, it's just, he wrote it in there, and that's the only reason it's there.
All right, well, Event Horizon here, hell, it's got a mixed reaction here, but I like it. I know Mike likes it, but these two are not too hot on it, so...
Haunted House in Space, folks.
Hey, if you trust our opinions, watch it. If not, trust
And
theirs.
I'm a black man, and Lawrence Fishburne as a captain, I should be proud of this film, and I still hated it.
So let's get on to our next one, which is The House on Haunted Hill, which is a remake of, I guess, of the original William
We'll
Castle
just talk about
film.
both of them. Why not?
The William
Let's
Castle
go.
film. And it's a very interesting little film. It was directed by William Malone.
Entertaining.
Well, it was
How's
the
that?
first. I would say this. It was the first of the Dark Tower films, which were
Dark Castle.
Dark Castle films, which were
No
produced.
Dark Tower films have been made yet.
That's a Stephen King book. Sorry, but the Dark Castle films, which were produced by Robert Zemeckis, Joel Silver, Richard Donner, and Walter Hill and David Giler. And every year, one film is supposed to come out in time for Halloween. This was their maiden voyage in this production, and also you might recognize their name from being involved with the Tales from the Crypt TV series. So it has a very similar feel in that respect, as is Bill Malone, the director, directed some of the episodes. The film, I guess, how would you describe the film?
I wouldn't describe it at all because I never saw it. There you go.
I would call it a fun film as long as you're not really trying to take any of this seriously, because as soon as you leave the theater, you're going to forget most of the film anyway. It was entertaining for what it was. I mean, you had a interesting...
Terrible. Other than Jeffrey Rush, though, terrible cast.
Well, no.
well,
you forgot
see, I
Jeffrey
like
Combs.
Jeffrey Rush.
No, I said other than Jeffrey Rush.
You have Jeffrey Rush. You have Jeffrey Combs, who
that's true.
who's familiar from Reanimator fame.
You had Lisa Loeb, too, if you want to include every little cast member.
Ooh, let's forget about her. And then
You had Taye
she's hot.
Diggs.
Taye Diggs.
Yeah. You had
Terrible
Ali Larder.
Bridget Wilson,
Famke Janssen.
And let's not forget Chris Kattan.
who is not working anymore, and we know why. You can only do that monkey guy so many times.
Let's forget
Who could
Chris Kattan.
single-handedly sink the film if it was left
The
up
film,
to the writer.
the film, like other, I guess you could say, other other horror films, is visually very beautiful. It's actually plentiful on the gore and is rated R, which is very rare in a horror film these days. And the thing that really made
Peter
the film work
Gallagher's
for
in
me.
it, too.
The thing that made it work for me was Jeffrey Rush, as you were talking about earlier. He does a homage to the Vincent Price with his character, who's also named Price, with his little pencil-thin mustache, and really has a good time on the movie.
I'm actually going to correct Mike. It's not Bridget Wilson. I think it's Ali Larder.
There's two.
Oh wait,
blondes.
Bridget Wilson is in it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
I got
and
there's
then
two
there's
blondes.
two-
Well, there
there's
you go.
two
That's how
blondes.
memorable
There's
the
two
film was
blondes
to me.
in it.
There's one scene in that film which I thought was worked on a level of an effective horror film, and only one scene, and it's when Ali Larder is down like in the bowels of the place, and she kind of loses the Taye Diggs character, and he's just standing there not saying anything, and she's like saying, you know, why aren't you answering me, kind of thing. I thought that was effective. That one scene.
Right.
The rest of it's just camp. You know, it's just.
Well, how would you compare that to the original one?
Well, the original one is camp too, but it's a different movie. It's not a haunted house film.
It's not. No. It just
It's
takes
a
the
let's
concept.
drive a
It's-
person insane film, and there's a twist.
It's an episode of Scooby-Doo.
Right.
That's what it is.
Not really an episode. Well, it is, but it's like, you know, William Castle made all these films that were inspired by Diabolique and Psycho. Okay, they're just variations on that form where there's a psycho killer or someone out to get someone, and then there's a twist. Not everything is what it seems to be.
It's a gimmick. There's always
a gimmick. Yeah,
always.
And what I was disappointed when Dark Castle announced originally the intention was to remake all these William Castle films.
Yes.
That's like, oh great, we're going to see films like this again, and all they did was do the same supernatural variation. So I was kind of disappointed that they turned a House on Haunted Hill into an honest-to-goodness haunted house film. I would have liked to have seen what they would have done updating that sort of formula. Because like in the original film, Vincent Price, invites all these people over his house, just like in a remake, and he claims that one of them's going to kill him that night. And it's kind of fun to watch and figure out, okay, where are they going with this? And it's kind of cheesy, but
they're all
it's
offered
fun.
money. They're all offered,
money
to stay in the house overnight, and whoever makes it gets out and gets money.
Right.
But did you find out there's a twist at the end, and that's the gimmick? This one actually spells it out from the beginning. This is a haunted house movie. There's going to be some haunting here. And it's a fun movie. It's a check your brain at the door movie. It's a lot like...
I think Jeffrey Rush is fun in it.
It's sort of like an extended Tales from the Crypt episode.
I guess you could. That's the best way. You know what? If you put Tales from the Crypt, like the Crypt Keeper hosting this, you would just say, okay, this is a Tales from the Crypt movie.
Well, then you had the other gimmick movie that Castle did, which was 13 Ghosts, which the gimmick was 3D.
Yeah.
And we're going to have 3D.
It wasn't 3D.
It was a ghost viewer.
Oh yeah, ghost viewer. I'm sorry, that's
basically,
right.
it's like one of those red
glasses.
things. If you look through the red thing, the red.
And you could see the ghost.
Terrible
like
device.
tap dancing
Terrible device,
or
didn't last
smoking
long.
or whatever.
I actually had the pleasure of seeing a screening of that with the glasses, and it was awful.
Right.
Yeah, and also the Prince.
But the remake with Tony Shalhoub and Shannon Elizabeth.
Matthew
was
Lillard.
Lillard. That one was interesting in the sense it's not a good film. The remake.
It's a steaming dog turd.
But it is interesting in the fact that you have this giant glass house that was made to imprison these ghosts, and the makeup on these 13 ghosts was very good. And it was a little weird that they gave him all these like nicknames like Destructor or whatever.
It's like a wrestler. They should be wrestlers.
Yeah, they were all
right.
Each ghost was like a certain
I did like the design of the house. I thought that was cool.
I will
the
say
design of the house is super cool.
I will say that is probably, and I'm not just saying this either. That is probably the best designed set I've ever seen, and probably the worst movie in the worst movie.
No, I agree.
I mean, you just see the set and you just go, God, I wish I could keep this set and put it in a good movie. It's beautiful to look at. I mean, if you even see the movie, watch it for the sets.
And who plays Tony Shalhoub's uncle?
It's F. Murray Abraham.
F. Murray Abraham.
Well, it has an interesting cast.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony Shalhoub, F. Murray Abraham, what's her name? The British actress.
Embeth
Davis.
So you might remember, who our horror fans might remember from Army of Darkness and Schindler's List for real people.
And the Gingerbread
as opposed
Man.
to fake people.
Completely new in the Gingerbread Man, Embeth Davis.
Yes. We all like that scene.
But not bad. I mean, once again, it's a check your brain at the door.
But exactly how old was Shannon Elizabeth's character playing his daughter supposed to be? She's still living at home.
Yeah, and I don't know. It was a weird movie. And not only that, the thing I thought they were trying to do something different. They cast this family as a Lebanese family or something, which I thought was kind of weird. They just put this in there, then they don't do anything with it.
I like the idea of giving Tony Shalhoub a leading role.
I like Tony Shalhoub. I just wish it was in a better movie. I mean, the movie was, what I understand, had a very bad production history, and I believe a editor or cameraman was just said, "Hey, do you want to direct this?" And they gave it to him to direct, and then he went on to do another Dark Tower film. I'm sorry, Dark Castle. Sorry, Dark Castle film, which was a ghost ship, which is not much better. But we'll get.
Still never seen that one.
It's not bad.
The opening is great, but the movie is terrible. But it's two interesting films, I guess. I say I'd go with House on Haunted Hill, though, if I were. What would you say?
Well, House on Haunted Hill, I think, is a less frustrating film than 13 Ghosts. Yes,
I'll definitely agree with you on that. All right. Well, speaking of remakes, let's go.
You're not going to ask us.
I'm sorry, but what do you guys
think? We're lonely over here.
Get over here. What do you think?
I would probably go with the House on Haunted Hill.
I would have to go with 13 Ghosts.
Really?
I don't know. Like I said, the makeup on the ghost was good, and the design of the house was cool.
The sets and the sets.
But didn't you
awesome.
think like they're the caretaker? The nanny, whoever that woman is that goes with them, supposed to help take. Annoying. Just a very annoying character.
It's very poorly acted, I have to say, even by the good actors who I usually like. But I gotta say, the one thing I forgot about
Let's talk about Ghost Ship.
I do like about the clocks.
I can't comment on that.
I like the clocks in the house. How the
Clocks
house
were
was a
great.
giant clock.
Yeah,
which was
they were
interesting.
all the locking mechanisms.
I think the
Beautiful.
conceptualization of the house was wonderful.
It's only they put so much thought into the actual script in the movie.
Why don't we talk about Ghost Ship?
Well, let's go into Ghost Ship. Ghost Ship. I guess I'm going to give that on to you there, because you seem like you want to talk about Ghost Ship.
Just Ghost Ship's interesting. It's a haunted house, but it takes place on an abandoned ocean liner that, well, the beginning is interesting because you have a normal, like, cruise ship, and you see this guy stringing up a line, like a wire or whatever, and somehow a lot of people are on the dance floor, and this line goes across and chops everybody's heads off.
That's a wonderful opening. It's just the rest of the movie.
It
It's
is
terrible.
great. It's original and everything. Sets the tone. You bring these sailors on. Juliana Margulies, Ron Eldard. I forgot who else was on there. I think Carl Urban's on there too. I think maybe.
What's his name? Miller's Crossing.
Gabriel Byrne.
Gabriel Byrne.
It's an interesting
But it's a
concept.
great. I think it's a great ending that this guy is. It turns out that it's not truly haunted, but I don't know. Do you want me to ruin the ending? Hey,
Go
everybody.
ahead. I'm probably not gonna watch it.
But it's like this guy that's a reaper of souls from hell. I like that idea. I don't know why. It's original.
It's a what?
Reaper of Souls from Hell.
Reaper of Souls from Hell.
Yeah, this guy is just collecting souls from. Yeah, well, I guess they try and say he's the devil, but I don't think he's the devil himself.
It's a weird movie. In fact, I remember the cast was actually complaining in interviews that the movie was not the movie they signed on to make, that it was severely ruined in editing, which is like, yeah, come on, this is Ghost Ship we're talking about. This is not like Citizen Kane. The film, I think it gets boring after the opening. The opening is terrific. You go, wow, this is pretty sick. I mean, everyone is cut in half.
I don't think it's boring. I don't know.
Oh, come on.
No, you've complained about horror movies being slow. I disagree with
I
you.
didn't say,
I mean,
no. To me, they did. There's another. This film rips off
Event
another
Horizon.
film. Another film.
Yeah.
Hey, I watched Event Horizon.
There you go.
Another film that Ghost Ship really ripped off was a movie called, I don't know if you guys have heard of it, called Death Ship, which is a film that was made in 1980. In fact,
Yes.
has the exact
George Kennedy.
Yes, has the exact same
I haven't seen
poster.
it for a
Richard Crenna.
I haven't seen it for a long time.
Same poster even, except it's called Death Ship.
Nazi ghosts.
Nazi ghost on a tanker, and it absorbs the souls of the people on board. It has a great B-movie cast.
So it's like the burnt offerings at sea.
Yes, it is actually, and it's a very disturbing little movie.
Very good.
It's actually very creepy and definitely worth checking out. if
As
you guys
good
haven't seen
as Shockwave.
No.
it. Yes.
Actually, I thought Death Ship was crap, but that's
Death Ship,
my-
I love it
my
because it's such
opinion.
a
I think
cheesy
Shockwave
movie.
is great. Nazi
Terrible
zombies.
film.
Terrible
When you
film.
got
We'll
Nazi
get
But
into
ghosts,
Shockwave is
Nazi
brilliant.
ghosts.
Shockwaves will be reviewed
Love
on a future
Shockwave.
show, so be sure to tune in. All right, well, let's not get
Let's
too
throw
off
another
topic.
haunted,
Let's go into the remakes. Other remakes. The movie is the remake of the Haunting, and the movie is The Haunting. So talk about it.
I just hated it. They could have done so much. I just hated it. It's like
Tell me how you really
you
feel.
go from I already explained how much in the last episode, the first part of the whole haunted house experience, that is the Cinefiles. I explained how much I love the original Haunting, and some of you guys didn't like as much as I did. But everything that was great to me about the original Haunting, they just threw out in a remake and thought they could improve. And they even changed the initial concept. I mean, they overcomplicated. The whole premise of the remake of The Haunting is that they're doing this psychological experiment. They're choosing like 4 people. They're saying it's about fear, but it's really about something else. They have no idea if the house is really haunted or not. That's not even an equation. Whereas the original one, they just hear the house is haunted. They want to bring some people in and just investigate it. The original one was much simpler in that way.
And I hate, like you mentioned earlier, this one, they just say, okay, this is a haunted house, so
Right.
shit is going to happen.
But
everything
not
does.
only that, the whole thing with like the ghostly cherubs coming out of the walls and taking the character away, and it was just
Well, they
such-
make
they're
Lily
just
Taylor
so
not
over-
only a lesbian, but borderline retarded.
Yeah, well, what was great for
Instead
me,
of,
what's
like,
great about the
emotionally-
original one is that when they brought up the whole history of what happened to the house, it wasn't clear what was going on. It's just that a lot of unhappiness in this house, a lot of tragedy. That's all you needed. You didn't need any further elaboration than that. And this one, they not only had to overcomplicate the reason why they're at the house, but they had to make sure that whoever was haunting this house was so incredibly out of control evil, and oh my God, he enslaved children, and all sorts of stuff. I mean, it was just like out of control. And
it's PG-13, by the way, too. I want to mention.
Yeah, and it's just.
But Owen Wilson dies in it, so that's good.
Well, and that's what's funny is it actually has a pretty good cast. I mean, Catherine Zeta-Jones and Liam Neeson, who I usually like.
It's not a good cast. It's a shitty cast.
I like Liam
thank
Neeson.
you.
I like
Catherine
Neeson.
Zeta-Jones is terrible.
And Lily Taylor's a
Liam
good
Neeson
actress.
sucks on
Owen
general.
Wilson is terrible.
I don't
Owen
like
Wilson
him.
was playing Owen Wilson as usual.
Exactly. So what did you think?
I thought it sucked. I thought it was just pretty much. I thought it was just they filled in the story to match the budget for the special effects. I didn't feel like there was anything really intriguing about the film at all. I just thought Jan de Bont just thought, I got $150 million. I got a bunch of special effects. Let me fill in the story here and there.
I agree with you on that because what's so sad is that when I first saw Jan de Bont's first film, he was an excellent cinematographer. He did some great work, basically with I guess you could say Paul Verhoeven and quite a few other directors. In fact, he did Cujo, and later on he got bumped up to director, and he did Speed, which I thought was a very promising debut from a director, a first time. It was a very good movie. Then he does Twister, which is terrible. Then he does this, which I could not believe how the mighty had fallen.
Well, what's interesting about Speed is, even though it's not a haunted house film,
it's a
he
thriller.
didn't really rely on special effects. And then everything after that, he relied too heavily on special effects.
Because to me, I mean, you're talking about the Speed. Speed is like one of the best debuts, I think, by a director in movie history, of an action film. And it's really well made. And I was like, wow, this guy's going to be like John McTiernan or, somebody like this. Right. And every film of his I've seen has gotten worse and worse and worse. And The Haunting is unwatchable. It is, like you said, a movie that had a lot of money. It's like, special effects, what can we do? Okay, we'll make this staircase fall and this destroy. Now let's write a little story around this.
Well, I think the ending relies on him being on that library ladder or something.
Yeah, that's so obviously written into the script.
Yeah, but I mean, you said it gets worse and worse. I personally think Twister is a lot worse than this film, if that was humanly possible.
Twister is pretty fucking horrible.
Yeah, well, don't forget, then he went on to do Tomb Raider, which is even worse, so there you go. He's a bad director these days.
No, that was...
The Haunting,
that was Simon
for me, the
West.
analog for The Haunting
Simon
for
West's
film fans
career.
out there, if anyone's like a big fan of
wrap it up for us on that one.
Duel, which is a great little thriller, right?
Steven
okay,
Spielberg.
and so decide I'm going to remake
occasionally
Duel,
good Spielberg
but not only am I
film.
going to remake Duel, I'm going to pump in $50 million, and I'm going to make the truck that's chasing after him morph into some CGI Godzilla-like creature at the end. That's The Haunting.
It's also making it like a possessed truck. It's like saying, okay, we're going to say it's a possessed truck, it's coming after you, and it's monstrous, and it has power, there's no way you can stop it, because it's not human. In The Haunting, the original, it was all psychological.
There's something...
This is the film, I guess you could, these are the series, I guess you could say, are the most famous haunted house series, and that is the Amityville series. We're going to be discussing 1, 2, 3 very quickly. Okay. Part 1 is probably the most famous haunted house movie, up there with The Shining, because it's supposedly based on a true story that took place on Long Island, and Amityville, Long Island, that is. And the story was written by Hans Holder, who was based on the story of, George Lutz and his wife, and they move into a house. And it's supposedly haunted. The movie version stars James Brolin and Margot Kidder as a couple move in the house, and they find out it's possessed by the devil and over the, what is it, a gateway to the hell? It's built over the entrance to hell. It is, I guess, what would you guys say of this one? I think it's a piece of shit.
I remember as a kid, I saw it in a movie theater when it first came out, and I remember thinking it was really cool. That's like my only impression.
Was that the storyline? It was built over the entrance to hell?
It was bent over. It was they built
bent over hell.
It's getting fucked.
I don't even remember. Like when I was a kid, I saw it. Like when I was an adult too. But at the time, the whole hell thing never registered to me. I just remember one of those films that you saw it, then you talk about with all your friends at school the next day. Oh, you guys see this film? It's really cool. All these things happen. The guy goes crazy, wants to kill his family. But it's not a very good film. No. I thought it was awfully strange that they wanted to remake that.
Yeah, which we're not going to get into because we didn't have the heart to even see that one.
But it's Josh Brolin,
Michael Bay, though,
trying to do Jack Nicholson. Did this film come out after The Shining?
It came out before The Shining in 1979. And I believe it or not, it's very sad.
So wouldn't it be fair to say Josh Brolin's trying to do a Jack Nicholson impersonation?
The thing that's sad though is that The Shining is not as successful as Amityville. Amityville was a huge hit. I mean, a huge blockbuster.
Well, the book was a big
longevity. I'd like to see DVD sales
Exactly.
comparison.
Well, a box set just came out, which has the true story. Basically, the story is supposedly it's all phony, as everyone knows, because they couldn't afford to pay their house bills. So they basically said the house was haunted. And they abandoned it. And they decided to make some money on the house because they could pay their bills and everything because there was an actual real murder that actually happened in that house.
Well, the one cool scene that I remember from Amityville Horror is James Brolin walking up the stairs collapse, and so he's about ready, and there's like slime or something underneath the stairs, so he's got to pull himself up so he doesn't fall into the slime or whatever it is. Right?
Oh yeah, at the end too, the house drips blood. Literally.
I think in the remake they end up going more into the whole idea of.
Oh, so you saw the remake?
No. I remember from the trailer, like the doorknob switches and you see the upside down cross and Philip Baker Hall as the priest.
It's a very cheesy. Oh, and speaking of cheesiness, we got the performances by 3 cheesy actors. Margot Kidder, who I usually like, is awful. James Brolin. He is doing Jack Nicholson to the Tempted Grave, even though it came out a year before. And let's not forget Rod Steiger, who you just...
Oh, Rod Steiger's in that.
Oh,
right.
God, is he awful.
Poor man.
And it's just, sorry, Rod. I know you need the money.
Low.
So much, so bad.
Well, God bless them.
God bless them.
Lutzes? Was that their...
The Lutzes, yep. George and Kathy Lutz.
God bless them.
Well, it's a piece of shit in the void. Part 2... Well, that's a prequel. It takes place and actually sets up how the actual murder happened before they moved in. And actually, I'm going to go on a limb here and say I enjoyed this one because
I didn't see 2.
2 is actually an Italian-made movie, and it's basically it's directed by a spaghetti western director, and I really enjoyed it. It has Burt Young and Ratunya Alda as the couple. And their son, which I love.
That says it all, folks. Burt Young is your lead.
And the thing I love is that the kid.
See it for Burt Young.
You got to see it. No. Don't see it for this. Okay, you how the devil contacts them, which I love.
By the phone.
No, the son is listening to his headphones. Because the Sony Walkmans, the first ones ever come out. And he goes, "You must kill." It's his Walkman from the devil.
Was he listening to Judas Priest at the time?
Maybe he was listening to it backwards. I don't know. But the one thing you must see is Diane Franklin nude. Who I love. I had a crush on her since I was a kid from Better Off Dead and Last American Virgin.
Yeah, she was in some weird movie. Never mind.
But she's great. And in part three, piece of crap in 3D and PG-13. PG, avoid at all cost.
Was this the TV movie version?
No, it's actually Amityville 3D, which came out in 3D during the huge revival of 3D
what's
films.
his name? That
Richard
used to be
Fleischer.
in Woody Allen movies.
Tony Roberts.
Tony Roberts stars.
Awful film. Attempt to make a 3D film.
I think we got to wrap this
Richard
thing up.
Fleischer directed it.
Yeah.
It's sad, isn't it?
I love Richard Fleischer.
Richard
but
Fleischer,
he
man.
needed a
money.
check. Yeah, he
Dino
needed a check. He wanted to
De
get a
Laurentiis.
new boat.
Dino De Laurentiis.
Rod
and
Steiger, Richard Fleischer. How
They all
low.
have great talent involved,
They
but they're
have
pieces of
fallen.
crap. Well, that will wrap up this episode of the Cinephiles. We hope you enjoyed it.
Part 2 of the haunted house.
I guess which haunted house would you guys leave off on here is the best?
Shining.
Shining.
Shining. Well, see The Shining. Anyway.
I would say honorable mention Burt Offerings, folks.
And skip Event Horizon.
Hey, I liked
come
it.
on.
I liked it. Okay, roll the credits.
Oh, you.
Decide for yourself.
Thank you. Hello, Gloria?
Gloria's asleep. Our director's asleep.
Roll credits.
There they are.
All right.
Credits.
As Mike leaves the
Which
show.
is my name.
Get up if I'm rolling the credits.
What are you doing?
He's quitting the show.